Okay, so what I want to talk about is what I would call a reproducible email system. And by reproducible email system, first of all, let me describe what it isn't. Okay, and I'm going to describe to you kind of what I've done up till recently when I'm trying to write a technical email to a co-author or to a student. And that technical email may contain code. I want it to contain results. Maybe I want it to contain LaTeX math equations, stuff like that. So oftentimes the way this unfolds is I'm working in, say, a Jupyter notebook with Python, or I'm working in some other Python IDE, working in MATLAB, working in Stata, what have you. And I run code over there in that window. I copy the code into the email composition window. Then I go back over to the place where I'm running the code. I copy the results. I put them back. Paste them into my email composition. And I've got this going back and forth process that maybe it's not that painful unless I've done quite a bit of that. My email's almost ready to send, and I realize that, oh no, I forgot to include like one of the most important variables. So I have to redo this. The other issue is maybe with it, if I'm coming back to an email that I sent, I have no idea how that code was run or like what data it was pulling when it ran it, because what I ended up copying, maybe I was a little lazy, but what I ended up copying didn't fully capture the inputs in code that were required to fully understand the results. I know I've been there many times looking at emails trying to figure out, oh my God, which data do file or which MATLAB M file did this come from, to these little pieces of code come from to produce these results. Got no idea. So Emacs, using the fantastic org mode capability, really does allow us to produce PDF documents, HTML documents that allow for fully reproducible research workflows. And what that means is your document can contain the full record of the project, including downloading data, to cleaning data, to running models, to fine-tuning figures. So you have code in a document along with your narrative describing the results that can produce the entire record of the project all the way up to the manuscript you want to submit. Okay, very powerful. Up till now, though, it's been really almost impossible to use that sort of system in an email context. While there were ways to do emails using Emacs, the org mode reproducible workflow was just not possible. But now, thanks to org-msg, org-msg, we get to have this reproducible workflows in emails, all right? So again, what does that mean? Going over to my list, you're looking actually at an Emacs org mode document here. This is a simple one with no code, no results. It's just got kind of bulleted lists, okay? So we are going to be able to produce emails that have tables, other fancy text, bulleted lists, numbered lists, text that's bolded, underlined, etc. We're going to have code blocks. We're going to have code block results. We are going to be able to, as we work on our email, not only run code, but we can go back to those code blocks, change some things, rerun the code, and the old results that we don't want are fully replaced with the new results. So we don't have to futz around with copying and pasting from one window to another. All right. So I'm going to demo some of these features, but before I do, you might wonder, well, if this is so great, like what is this going to entail? So first of all, it's going to entail Emacs. All right. And I will go ahead and readily admit that Emacs is, the learning curve for Emacs is quite high. So it's a full-fledged commitment. But once you have Emacs installed, you're going to get for free org mode, which is the crown jewel of Emacs. There's a guy named John Kitchen who does incredible videos. He's done one on how to basically write manuscripts using org mode, including bibliographies, citations. It's amazing. All right, if you don't believe me, go look for those videos. You're going to see a little bit of that here, but nothing like the full capabilities. All right, so the first two are easy. You just get that by installing Emacs. The next thing you need to install are the Emacs email capabilities in Emacs. And there are other ways you can go here, but I'm going to recommend mu4e. So mu4 Emacs, and you have to install the underlying program mu, which is what talks to your email server. Finally, you need this org-msg package. Okay, by far and away, the hardest thing to configure is this third bullet. It's not impossible, but it is a little bit difficult. Right. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is, you throw in a couple of pop mail IMAP settings and you're good to go. It's going to require some tinkering and setups. And once you get it set up, you'll be able to do pretty much what I'm showing you right here, starting now. All right. So imagine that a student sends you an email like this. I got some code here that's not highlighted in Gmail. This is typically the way code is going to look, unless someone's gone to the trouble of changing the font or changing the font color. And so the student has sent this to me, and so I want to look inside Emacs and see what that looks in my email system. So I'm going to go to my headers really quickly, and no, let's see, that's not what I want. Here it is. Okay, so here's the email. I can just look at that. This isn't very interesting, except to show that you do have, email. You can read your email in Emacs, which is kind of interesting. We're using mu4e here for that. But I'm going to respond to this. And I'm going to maximize this window so that we can just focus in. This is a message composition window in Emacs using org-msg and mu4e. Okay, so it has three regions. Okay, it's got the header region, which has the typical things that we're used to seeing, to, from, subjects, and dates. It has the quoted response that you're replying to down here. And in between basically this gray line that starts with text follows and this one that says citation follows, this is the org mode part of the email. This is where we're going to be doing our work. And really, the bulk of our work is 99.9% of the time. Everything you're going to be doing is occurring right here. Okay. These options, startup and properties, which I can expand, are not something that I had to type in. org-msg automatically populates this, and I never go in here and change it. So it looks complicated, but you can ignore it. Okay. So let's go ahead and respond to this email. And so first load the data like this. All right, so I want to actually load the data and run the code right here in this email composition window. So I need to tell org mode that I want a Python code block, and I have a little JP shortcut for that I tab complete, and it dumps in a source code block. All right. So this is the bad code that the student sent me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to split source code block just so you can see some more features here. So that's narrative in between code blocks. And so let's just suppose, for the sake of argument, I'm not even sure what's wrong with the code, so I can run it right here. And notice that this thing just popped up out of nowhere, this results. I'm going to delete it, actually, and I'm going to run it again. So this results block, which in this case is telling me, hey, you've got an error. Pandas has no attribute read VCS. Yeah, it needs to be CSV. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to include summary statistics of this data just to make sure it's loading okay. Describe. I'm going to round to 2 decimal places. So when I run this, now I want you to check this out. This results block is going to be replaced with new results. We don't have to delete the bad results and put in the good results. It's just automatically going to dump the new results right in there. Okay? So believe it or not, these are good results for us. This is an HTML table with data descriptions. So to convince you of that, if I go down here are the variables in the auto data set from Stata, the number of observations per variable, and various summary statistics. Okay. We can collapse this just so it makes it easier to see to get around the document, or just for this demo purposes, I am going to get rid of the HTML table, which, by the way, will export just fine and it will display in Gmail fantastically. But I'm going to just put in text plain just so no one's confused about what we're looking at here. We're going to display text plain rather than HTML. Okay. So the same information is here. It's just that it's plain text versus an HTML table, right? So we're not sure about the histogram here. So let's run that code. And again, we have a result with an error. There's no attribute inside of hist for auto. Yeah, okay. That needs to be like that. Let's suppose also I want to make this figure just a little bit more customized. Let's say I want to enlarge it. I want it 8 inches wide by 5 inches tall. I want to customize. All right. And X label is price. And plot Y label is frequency. It's not that this is really that interesting to show you. I'm just trying to convince you that inside your email composition window, you have full featured coding capabilities. All right. You can go to town creating things for your email here. So there's our histogram with my X labels, my titles, Y labels. There it is. Okay. So hopefully by now I've convinced you that inside of Emacs using org mode, we can have this pretty rich capabilities of, excuse me, I need just cough there. Apologies. This pretty rich symbiosis of just like regular plain text with code with results and output. Okay. If I want to change I want to see 5 decimal places rather than 2. I can change it, rerun it. This is going to get replaced. It's painless. I don't have to go back over to my Stata or Python window, rerun code, and copy it back into my email. Okay. Okay, so let me just show you a little bit real quick while I've got you here. Some of the capabilities, so we can do okay, got a little equation there. If you're like me and you're never 100% sure if you've got your LaTeX right, we can actually preview it using org mode, preview LaTeX fragment. And we got a numbered equation right there. This is what the student would see in their email. Okay, so we can click on it to edit that. We don't want to see equation numbers. Instead of begin and end equation, we can just use dollar signs. And we can preview that as well if we want. Tables, very quickly. I'm going to just do a nonsensical table to keep this going as fast as possible. It's continually trying to keep me into numbered lists. Okay, so we can do a lot more than that. Maybe we want bolded stuff. Maybe we want to do some things like, I think that does a strike through. Okay, but anyway, let's send the email, and we'll see what this text-based representation in org mode syntax. Let's see how it pans out when the student receives the email. All right, so let's go over to the student's Gmail account. They've got a new Gmail that just came in. Okay. All right, so that rendered as like, all right, anyway, it's not really not all that important. Tables is bolded. We have numbered lists. We can include tables, LaTeX math. We've got our code. We have results. We have a bunch of stuff for this figure, and we have a figure inline where it should be in this email. So the students can see the code that generates the results. Kind of cool. All right. Now, what about the actual email writer? What are they going to see? All right. So I'm going to jump back over to my header view. Headers. And this is the sent mail in plain text that I can view in Emacs. All right. So notice this is in Proton Mail Sent right there. And we're looking right now at one.message part. This is the plain text part of the message. And notice we have little code fences. We have results here. We have more code fences. And we have a reference to a figure that we can't display because we're in plain text. We also have an HTML representation of the message, which is much closer to what the student sees, that we can click on and view in a browser if we want. Okay. Now, since I'm syncing up my email to Proton Mail, so this is actually what we sent to the student. So here's their question. Here's my response. I'm going to fold that up. Here's their question. Here's the stuff that we just composed in Emacs and how it renders in Proton Mail, or if you were using Gmail, it would render like this. So your sent mail has a pretty version of this that you could view using your browser-based email system. So I don't know. I think it ups the bar and raises the game. How many more bad expressions can I use here, but it could be a game changer in how you use email and interact with for technical things like equations, documents, tables, and things like that. So last but not least, let me jump back over to the notes. And, is this something that's compelling? For me, it's very compelling. All right. I already use org mode to do a lot of my technical writing and produce manuscripts, class documents, and stuff. So for me, this is a natural extension. So I'm kind of all in on this. Now, when I say all in, does that mean I would use this for email 100% of the time? I probably would not. I would probably use my, Proton Mail or Gmail interface, and I would only jump into mu4e and Emacs when I wanted to do these interactive documents. And this system allows you to do that. You have flexibility to use Emacs, mu4e, org-msg as much or as little as you want. So that's how it works, and I hope you found it helpful. We'll talk later. Bye.